August 13th, 1945. Just outside Mukden. The morning air is wet, not with rain, but with the slow drip of steam from ruptured pipes, cracked buildings, and still burning embers. Somewhere in the rubble, the sound of distant engines. Trucks, American ones, grumbles like thunder behind a mountain. Lieutenant Keiko Nishida kneels on the stone floor of a makeshift field clinic. Her white gloves are no longer white. They are soaked deep red. Beside her lies Colonel Hamada. A jagged shard of metal has ripped through his lower ribs. His breathing comes in rattled bursts. Still, his eyes are fixed, unwavering, disciplined. He lifts a shaking hand, touches her sleeve. "Lieutenant," he rasps, "if they find you, close your eyes and don't scream." Keiko hesitates, not because she doubts the order, but because she doesn't think she'll need it. The Empire has always protected its daughters. She bows deeply. "Yes, Colonel." His hand drops. His final breath escapes like air from a deflated balloon. She doesn't cry. She is Imperial Army, trained, chosen. Behind her, other nurses finish stacking what little morphine they have left into a canvas bag. One slips on blood and nearly falls. They all freeze. Keiko stands, straightens her cap. The wind shifts. A banner with the red sun emblem flutters, half burned, half proud, above the wreckage. In the distance, not aircraft engines, not kamikaze wings, but the deep mechanical roar of an American 6x6. She turns toward the sound, still believing the Emperor will send reinforcements, still believing surrender is impossible. She doesn't know it yet, but the war is already over. Spring 1945. Mukden Military Hospital, Manchuria. The camellias are in bloom, bright red, too bright. Keiko steps off the train in full uniform, crisp, untouched. Her boots shine. Her hair is pinned tight. She carries 2 suitcases, one with gauze and quinine, the other with letters of honor from her instructors in Osaka. A young lieutenant bows deeply. "Lieutenant Nishida, welcome to the Manchurian frontier." The streets are quiet, but not poor. Japanese stores line the roads, lacquerware, radio repair, silk shops, a full transplant of empire. Inside the hospital, everything gleams: clean beds, precise charts, orderlies in perfect lines. A poster reads, "Each drop of sweat preserves a drop of blood." They chant every morning before rounds. Keiko leads the nurses in unison. Serve the Emperor. Save the soldiers. Never fear death. The war feels far away. China is subdued. America is distracted. Russia is their ally. A colonel tells them proudly, "This land is the silk screen of the Empire. Our enemies cannot see through it." The nurses believe him. Keiko spends her evenings stitching bandages by candlelight, writing letters home. "Mother, they feed us rice 3 times a day. We are safe here." Once a week, a freight train arrives. It carries supplies from Tokyo, crates of medical gear stamped with red suns. The nurses paint slogans on the sides, "Victory through purity." In the officers' mess, they laugh about Americans. One captain brags, "They are soft, obsessed with their radios and sugar." The room roars with approval. Keiko doesn't laugh, but she smiles. In her diary, she writes, "Our mission is noble, our cause is right, and we are far from danger." Outside, the camellias begin to fall. July 1945. The heat clings to everything: skin, uniforms, metal beds. Even the flies move slower. Keiko wipes sweat from a soldier's brow. He's 17. Shrapnel lodged in his thigh. Feverish. "Will Tokyo send reinforcements?" he mumbles. She forces a smile. "Of course," she lies. But even lies feel thin now. Bandages arrive stained, quinine bottles half empty. One box of morphine goes missing, and no one investigates. The orderly shrugs. Probably a clerical error. Another says, perhaps the Russians took their share. Keiko starts boiling gauze to reuse. They bleach with vinegar. The supply trains come later, then stop coming at all. A week later, a nurse finds a Chinese interpreter's bunk empty, his coat still hanging. No one speaks of it. But everyone notices the silence in the mess hall that night. On her rounds, Keiko hears murmurs in the hall. Officers speaking in hushed tones. Soviets building near the border. Too many tanks. One voice. If they attack, we'll hold the line. Another. We're too thin. Headquarters doesn't respond. Keiko asks the matron, should we prepare for evacuation? The answer is firm. No. This is Japan's land now. We stand firm. But at night, Keiko stares at the ceiling fan, unmoving, useless. And for the first time, she thinks, what if the silk isn't a screen? What if it's a curtain, about to fall? August 9th, 1945. At dawn, the sky shakes. Not thunder, artillery. Not from the south, from the north. The Soviets have crossed. No warning, no coded orders, no air raid sirens. Just a low rumble. Then the entire hospital windows rattle in their frames. A truck arrives. No driver, no message. Just a crumpled map on the seat and one line scrawled on the windshield. Prepare for capture. Inside the hospital, the wards are chaos. Wounded soldiers scream. One man with missing legs tries to crawl to the exit. Nurses whisper prayers under their breath. Louder now, desperate. Keiko runs to the command office. It's empty. Desks overturned. Cabinets on fire. A single lantern flickers beside a pile of burning documents. She hears gunfire from the courtyard. Then a child's voice. She turns. 2 boys, no older than 12, dressed in nurse uniforms, rifles slung across their backs. One is crying. The other is sharpening a bayonet. She whispers, "Where is your mother?" One boy shrugs. She said to defend the emperor. She ran east. Keiko stands frozen. By nightfall, the power fails. The radio clicks off mid-sentence. The last words, Imperial forces, remain loyal. The next morning, a nurse is caught trying to escape with Chinese villagers. She's dragged back, hair hacked off, stripped of insignia. The officer screams, "No one leaves, die here or die a traitor." Keiko stares at her own reflection in a broken window. Her white gloves are gone. Her hands, cracked, bruised, trembling. The silence is broken only by the sound of engines. Closer now, August 14th, 1945. Keiko wakes on the clinic floor. Her back aches. Her neck stiff. Someone's placed a rice ball beside her. Still warm. A small act of mercy in a collapsing world. Rumors begin to drift through the ranks. Whispers. A Soviet sergeant spoke to a captured interpreter. "Your emperor." He surrendered. No formal orders, no announcement, just soft voices, like smoke, slipping under doors and through cracks, in discipline. Keiko asks a superior, "Is it true?" He looks away, eyes hollow. We fight until told otherwise. But she sees it. The way he no longer salutes, the way his uniform hangs loose. Later that afternoon, a convoy arrives, Soviet trucks, but no guns drawn. Soldiers unload crates, not weapons, not body bags. Canned meat, bandages, American chocolate bars. A young Red Army private tosses one to a Japanese boy. The boy fumbles, bites in. Eyes widen. Keiko watches from behind a broken pillar. The foil wrapper glints in the sun. She steps closer. Another soldier opens a crate. Inside, small glass bottles, labeled in English. Coca-Cola. He pops one open, drinks it like water, lets out a satisfied sigh. Keiko stares. This is not how conquerors behave. And for a moment, something flickers in her chest. Not fear, not pride, just confusion, wrapped in the scent of sugar and smoke. She thinks, if they can eat sweets, maybe they won't kill us. And that hope, that strange, quiet, impossible hope, feels more terrifying than anything she's known before. August 15th, 1945. The sun is already high when the order comes. Prepare to move. No explanation. No route. Just a voice shouting from a jeep. And canvas-covered trucks idling in the courtyard, belching black smoke into the air. Keiko packs quickly. Gauze. A photo of her parents. One ration biscuit she hides in her blouse. Another nurse clutches a rosary, though she isn't Christian. She whispers, I heard they take the women first. No one responds. The nurses line up, some with straight backs, others swaying like reeds. One throws up in a corner. No one comforts her. A boy in uniform runs across the yard, holding a doll. He tries to board the truck with his sister. A Soviet officer steps forward. The mother screams. The officer shouts, and suddenly, a Japanese major draws his pistol. One shot. The child falls. Everyone freezes. The major holsters the pistol without looking down. Better by my hand, he says. Keiko doesn't cry. She feels nothing. Just heat and the stench of oil. A soldier grabs her arm, leads her up into the truck. Canvas walls flap like loose sails. There's no air inside. Just the suffocating smell of fear and urine. She hears footsteps outside, then a voice, old, trembling, familiar. Matron Tanaka, I trained you all, she says. You are soldiers of the Empress. Pause. No matter what happens, show no fear. The truck door slams shut. Keiko grips the wooden bench. Her heart doesn't race. It slows. Outside, the engine groans, and the future begins to move. The POW camp is not a cage of barbed wire and screams. It's stranger than that. The barracks are made of wood, freshly painted. American medics walk between rows of patients. Japanese, Russian, Chinese. No shouting, no beatings, just protocol, efficiency. Keiko lies on a cot, clean sheets. Her wound, from a fall during transport, has been stitched. By an American nurse, a blonde woman with freckles and kind eyes. You need fluids, she says. Her voice calm, almost maternal. Keiko doesn't answer. She stares at the IV, expecting it to sting, to burn. But it doesn't. Later, she's handed a tin plate. Boiled eggs, bread, a red apple. She pushes it away. Then, a glass bottle, sweating from the cold. A shape she recognizes from rumors. The curved body, the red label. Coca-Cola. The nurse smiles. For you? Keiko takes it with trembling hands, holds it close, sniffs it like a trap, then drinks. The sweetness shocks her. Bubbles climb up her nose. She drops the bottle, it shatters, Everyone looks, but no one scolds her. She whispers, "Forgive me." That night, she sits in silence outside the barracks, watching, waiting for the punishment. Instead, laughter. A Soviet officer sits beside an American GI eating stew. They clink spoons, laugh over something she doesn't understand. Keiko watches their hands, forks, napkins, paper cups. She begins to shake. Quietly at first, then it builds. And then, she laughs. She laughs so hard, she falls from the step. A Japanese officer glares. "Compose yourself!" But she can't. She's not laughing at them. She's laughing at herself. At the slogans. At the red suns painted on morphine crates. At the belief that the world was only as big as Japan's maps. She buries her face in her hands and cries until her hands are soaked. But this time, not in blood. Days pass, then a week. Keiko walks again. Slow, careful steps. The air smells of disinfectant and grass. Strange combination. She's assigned to light duty. Cleaning linens, sorting gauze. The American nurses never mock. One shows her how to fold a compress the American way. Quicker, more absorbent. Keiko nods, follows, doesn't speak. On her third afternoon, she called to the supply depot. Inside, mountains of boxes, marked in bold black letters. Ford Motor Company, Campbell Soup, General Electric, everything labeled, numbered, mapped. She's told, match the stencils, stack by weight. The system is so precise, so cold, it feels mechanical. Like the room was not stocked by people, but by machines that think. Later, she finds a map pinned to the wall. It stretches from Guam to Vladivostok. Colored lines trace supply routes. Planes, ships, trains. Every dot, a node of effort. She runs her finger across the Pacific and stops. There's a number beside one line. 2,000 tons per day. That's how much they moved, just to feed prisoners. She thinks of the hospital in Mukden, the vinegar they used for antiseptic, the broken elevator they never fixed. Keiko's hands begin to shake. In a quiet voice, she says to the American officer nearby, "Why do you help us?" He looks up from his clipboard. "Because we're not at war anymore." She bows slightly, unsure if that's enough. That night, she writes in her diary. They do not burn their shame. They catalog it. They don't fear defeat. They expect recovery. Then she adds, "Perhaps that is why they win." The gates to the depot swing open. Japanese POWs, the women first, are called by name. American nurses hand out gloves, pencils, clipboards. "You'll help process aid shipments," one says. "We track everything. Nothing gets lost." Keiko hesitates, but then steps forward. Inside the sorting tent, the air smells of cardboard and motor oil. The crates are marked in perfect stencils. Ford Motor Company, Westinghouse, Pepsi Cola, Montgomery Ward. Each box is a symbol, not just of abundance, but planning, precision. She opens one. Inside, machine parts nested in molded trays. Everything numbered, everything replaceable. The next box, powdered milk, biscuits, pencils, children's toys. She stares. In Mukden, children were handed rifles. Here, they are sent coloring books. Later, she's told about a ship, one that delivered these goods. It had no guns, no armor, only food. It left California, crossed the Pacific, past Japanese submarines, just to deliver soap and toothpaste to former enemies. Keiko asks quietly, "Why not use the ship for weapons?" An American nurse shrugs, "Because someone else already shipped those." That night, Keiko sits with a pencil stub and her diary. She writes, "We feared surrender because we feared becoming nothing. But they build systems that survive surrender. They build as if time is on their side. She closes the book, looks out over the crates, rows and rows of parts, waiting not for battle, but for restoration. And she realizes this isn't charity, it's power. August ends, autumn creeps in. The POWs are gathered in the assembly tent. A white sheet is hung. A reel clicks. American newsreels begin. Images flicker. Hiroshima, flattened. Nagasaki, ash. Then Tokyo, blackened bones of buildings. A lone chimney standing like a gravestone. No narrator, just music, strings. Somber, slow. Keiko doesn't breathe. Then come the numbers. A chart. 300,000 aircraft produced. Another. 2,000 ships built in a single year. Footage rolls. Women in factories. Children collecting scrap metal. Farmers harvesting food for the front. Then something stranger. Soldiers unloading ice cream machines. Coca-Cola fountains. Jukeboxes. The Americans didn't just supply troops. They supplied normalcy. Keiko's hands grip the bench. A line appears across the screen. Victory through production. She looks around. No one speaks. Not the Japanese officers. Not the Soviet guards. Even the Americans stand quiet. Keiko whispers. It was never about courage. They had fought with everything and still been crushed. She thinks back to the hospital in Mukden. The heat, the vinegar, the rusted scissors. She remembers the red sun flag, burned at the edges. And then she remembers the child in the nurse uniform, holding a rifle too big for his hands. She leans forward. They had believed they were behind a silk screen, but it was never silk. It was paper. And now it was ash. September 1945. Shanghai. Keiko walks through the city, no longer in uniform. Just a linen dress, American-issued shoes, a small canvas bag over her shoulder. The streets are alive again. Bicycles rattle past. Street vendors boil rice in giant drums. Children laugh, some in Mandarin, some in English. And on the corner, an American GI hands out candy. He kneels beside a barefoot Chinese boy, pulls a stick of gum from his pocket, offers it with a grin. The boy takes it, then bows, awkward but genuine. Keiko watches from across the street. Sunlight breaks through the cloud cover. She squints. For a moment, everything is too bright. She closes her eyes. Not from fear, not from pain, but because the light feels like something she hasn't known in months. Freedom! A breeze lifts her hair. The scent of frying sesame oil drifts from a nearby stall. Somewhere, a radio plays swing music. Keiko breathes in. She thinks of Colonel Hamada, his last order. If they find you, close your eyes. Don't scream, she whispers, barely audible. Not to him, not to anyone, just into the air. We should have screamed. Pause. Maybe someone would have heard us. She opens her eyes and walks on.